What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tooned Up on the Renegade Pop Culture Network. This is the show where we take you on a trip around the world of animation. And this week, we mean that quite literally, as our focus is on the Annecy International Film Festival. I am your host, of course, Mike. And with me is my co-captain, Cameron.
Howdy, howdy.
And our special guest for today, writer for CBR, Reuben. How you doing?
I'm good.
Awesome. Now, before we get into the main event, we have some not easy news to discuss. Cameron, what's been happening since our last episode?
Well, the world of animation has lost two people. The first one up was Kelly Asbury, the director of Shrek 2, Spirit, Stallions of the Cimarron, Smurfs, The Lost Village, and Ugly Dolls. He passed away at 60 years old from a battle of cancer. And then we also lost the comedy legend, the Dick Van Dyke Show originator, Carl Reiner. And now he died of natural causes. And while this is kind of an odd one to bring up because his animation footprint is not huge, if you watch Toy Story 4, he voiced a secondary character along with Mel Brooks in like as one of the toys that's in the main girl's closet. Any thoughts about Kelly Asbury or Carl Reiner from you two?
These are both pretty devastating losses. As far as Kelly Asbury goes, I've gone on record many times saying that Shrek 2 is one of the best sequels of all time, animated or otherwise. And also, Kelly Asbury has been like he's been kind of a key ingredient, not just at DreamWorks, but he's worked like behind the scenes at the Walt Disney Company too.
Yeah, he was like a story artist on like The Little Mermaid and Nightmare Before Christmas and all sorts of stuff from the 90s before he went to DreamWorks.
Yeah, so he will definitely be missed in the animation industry. As for Carl Reiner, this is interesting because while I'm not quite the biggest fan of the Dick Van Dyke Show, like his influence in entertainment, like he leaves behind a very large legacy. Like not only was he good friends with Mel Brooks, but like I'm sure he's the one who kind of inspired, like he's the one who kind of gave us Dick Van Dyke, who would later go on to star in Mary Poppins, one of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah, no, this is tough. And Shrek 2 is such a good movie. I remember going to see it with my sister when it was released. And we just laughed our heads off. We just loved it. And I know some people are going to be like, well, he directed Ugly Dolls and that wasn't very good. Yeah, but you know what? A lot of that was not his fault. There was way more stuff.
Here's a funny piece of trivia. Did you know that Robert Rodriguez, of Sin City and Alita and Shark Boy and Lava Girl fame, he wrote the original story for the Ugly Dolls movie?
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember
this week.
I remember being like kind of taken aback by that news because like Ugly Dolls does not seem like a property that Rodriguez.
Yeah, well, he also does like weird kids movies along with his action stuff. So
that's true. So it wouldn't have been completely out of left field, but it would have also just been his first animated film, which there's a lot of things wrong with Ugly Dolls.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I remember I was on a podcast with Rachel Reviews, and we were just saying like, do not blame any of this on him. This is not his fault. that movie went through a production hell, unlike a lot of films go through. And no, it's a shame that was his last film, but his good stuff like Spirit and Shrek 2, they were really good. And he was probably the reason why Romeo and Juliet was so decent, and why Smurfs: The Lost Village was just, I think, a lot more fun the more I think about it. And like, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, but
I actually really like his Smurf film.
yeah, no, I remember like loving the animation for it, and yeah, no, it's just tough, and the animation world is going to be different without him. Mm-hmm. As for Carl Reiner, I know he's mostly known for his live action stuff, like I think it's a Mad World, and of course the Dick Van Dyke Show, and being the father of Rob Reiner. But it's like the power of Pixar. He's only like Carl Rhinoceros.
Yeah, Carl Rhinoceros.
For just like a few minutes on screen, but he grabs you, you know. And
Also, I haven't heard either of you mention The Jerk in talking about Carl Reiner. Like, have you seen The Jerk?
Oh, the Jerk is amazing.
Yes, it's like one of the funniest movies ever, and he was the director of that one.
I have not. I've only seen clips of it. I've had chances to watch it, and I still need to, and now I have to.
Yeah, now is the best time to go back and just like peruse his IMDb and just cross off anything, like any blind spot you have. Now is the time to fill those holes.
Yeah. He lived to 98. He lived a long, good life. So like, the only thing that like makes me like really sad is just like imagining what Mel Brooks must be going through without his best friend.
Yeah, no, that's tough. I remember there was an Instagram photo with him, Mel Brooks, and I forgot the actress that was with them, laying in a bed together, and it's just like, you know, old friends. You know, it's a bummer. We lost one of the old comedy legends, and the world's going to be a little less funny without him.
Yeah, that is definitely a devastating loss.
Yeah,
which makes transitioning to this next story a little difficult.
Well, it's like, I wish I could say something happier, but well, I mean, it is happy. It's more positive, but it's also like its own can of worms to deal with. Over the past 2 weeks, while we've all been focusing on the Annecy Film stuff, a big shakeup in the entertainment industry has been going on, from Splash Mountain being changed into a the Princess and the Frog ride, but mostly in the animation scene, where multiple white actors and voice actors are stepping down from voicing biracial or person of color actors and characters. Sorry. And this includes Jenny Slate stepping down as the voice as one of the characters from what was it?
Big Mouth.
Big Mouth. Thank you. And Kristen Bell is stepping down as the daughter in Central Park, and there's too many. There's a lot of them. Mark Henry
were like the Cleveland voice actor.
Yep, Mike Henry stepping down as Cleveland, and
everyone in Simpsons, and all the people of color in The Simpsons are now going to be voiced by people of color.
Yeah, and of course, this brought out a lot of people who are making false equivalences and are missing the entire point, you know, and it's become frustrating because then they try to bring like Phil Lamar into the discussion, since he voiced Samurai Jack. And really, in the end, the point is, this is a good thing. White people should not be voicing like black characters and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I get mad about this because so many people just ruin this conversation by being dumb.
Yeah, I personally have mixed thoughts about it. On the one hand, yes, this is a positive move, kind of moving forward. Like it's great that we're now starting to have the conversation about, you know, authentic um, representation in voice acting. Um, like the quote that Jenny Slate said when she decided to step down is like, she said black characters should be voiced by black actors, and that's that's 100% true. At the same time, though, um, for some of the more longer running characters, like all the characters on The Simpsons, like Apu, and some of the other characters that Hank Azaria voiced, or Mike Henry voicing Cleveland on Family Guy. Like the problem is, this kind of comes off as like a very performative, sign of support for the Black community. Like it's a surface level change, but what I'm hoping is that they're just setting an example for the next generation, as opposed to thinking that this is like the end all be all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like it's weird talking about this as a white guy. I was like, my opinion on this really doesn't matter that much, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, the thing I've been seeing is that the people who are complaining about this, the white people complaining about this, are being completely stupid. But I've also seen that I've also seen like reactions from a lot of Black people who are like, okay, we didn't ask for this. Now, like, arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor. Like, why is this the thing that we're doing? But it's like not a bad thing, and like if people are making this decision, they're making this decision, and like it's like good, I guess.
Yeah, it's tough because like as also a white guy, my opinion doesn't mean much. I think in the end this is for the better. I think it comes off a little more cynical for the long-running shows like Family Guy and The Simpsons, which are, I mean, they're still popular to a degree, but I don't know.
I suppose with The Simpsons, it's like interesting because he's like the casting of Apu was like it was like an example of this where like there has been in extremely vocal criticism from people of color, and The Simpsons took forever for them to handle that in a halfway decent way. So it's like kind of weird there.
Well, the problem comes from The Simpsons, that famous documentary, which I thought was a pretty good documentary.
Yeah, it was.
It's like one of the. I don't want to like assume this because but it does kind of come off like one of the writers got mad about that documentary, so they wrote that one part of the episode, and it, the one that really just threw the internet aflame and such, where they were just like, oh, so that's how you handle criticism? Screw you, show. And then it's like, okay, now we're going to have a more genuine thing, and it's just like, okay, so why didn't you do that in the first place instead of being petty and passive aggressive about it? And I mean, like, I hope people don't bring this up because the Boondocks made a meta joke about this with two of the characters, Wunsler Jr. and his friend, who are two white guys voiced by Charles Murphy and Samuel Jackson. And now it's like the entire point, because I think from what I remember, the Boondocks creator did not like the fact that Cleveland Brown from the Family Guy was voiced by a white guy. So it's like, okay, well, screw that. And I'm going to take a slight jab at that show by making these two characters voiced by Black people. And it's just like, I just hope like, because I mean that was kind of the point, and I feel bad for like some actors, like Phil Lamar got dragged through the coals because of him voicing Samurai Jack, and
that's something I noticed. Like throughout this conversation, people have been throwing around Phil Lamar and Cree Summer for like voicing multiple characters that are outside of their demographic. Like you like people remember like some of Cree Summer's earlier roles, like Penny from Inspector Gadget and Elmira from Tiny Toons. But the problem is, if those are the only two black actors or black voice actors that you can think of, then that's the problem.
Yeah. Like they're proof that animation could be a colorblind casting space, but the industry in general is not.
Yeah, no, it's like, and there's good voice actors out there, black voice actors like Kevin Michael Richardson. He is so good. But the fact that I can only think of like Phil Lamar, Cree Summers, and Kevin Michael Richardson, even though there are
Keith David.
Yeah, Keith David. Yeah. There are plenty more out there.
Who was the dub voice of Jet and Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Carl Means is Frylock.
And the whole cast of Cannon Busters, for the most part, is all black, and a lot of those actors did a good job. And unfortunately, a lot of the current voice actors for My Hero Academia got kind of dragged through the coals, even though it's like, I swear, animation fans need to take a chill pill, look at the bigger picture and such.
Seriously.
Because they got dragged through those actors who were all black from the recent My Hero Academia episodes got dragged through the coals, and that's not fun. That's not good to like. I could just go on about this, so I think let's just move on. In general, this is a good thing. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see how things unfold down the road.
Yeah.
All right, what else?
Well, on top of the Daria spinoff news, we have the, I guess, new reboot of Beavis and Butthead for Comedy Central, and MTV is going to revive the Lord and Miller fan favorite show, Clone High. So, thoughts? I have plenty, but you guys go first.
Reuben, I'll let you go first, because I have very mixed opinions about Beavis and Butthead, but let's hear what you have to say.
I've never seen a single episode of Beavis and Butthead. I think I saw like 5 minutes of the movie on TV, so I know the I Am Cornholio thing, but other than that, I know zilch about Beavis and Butthead. Clone High is good, and I am looking forward to seeing what they do with that. Especially curious to see if they're even allowed to have the Gandhi character, since that was what got them canceled.
Yeah, for those that don't know, the show was fairly popular in its first season, but controversy arose when, Gandhi's character was a main character in the show, and, I think there was threats of lawsuits and such, and then they just had to pull the show.
That's like, of all the reasons to have your show end prematurely, that has to really suck.
Yeah, supposedly there was talks that they were going to like try to change it in season 2. Like, hey, we'll say, oh, well, he's actually been Gary Coleman's clone all along.
Wow. That would have been interesting to see. I would have loved, but I mean, I guess we'll now see it. Any other thoughts?
I was thinking about how the early 2000s were like a gold mine for Gary Coleman humor. Like, you also had Avenue Q with Gary Coleman, and
oh my God, you're right.
And he was also in like this Cartoon Network Scooby-Doo semi parody. I remember seeing clips of that a while back, and it's actually really funny.
You'll have to send me that after the podcast. I'm
if I can find it, I'll send you guys after we record. But about both these shows, and the possibility of Daria maybe coming back if that Jodie spinoff does well. This is a very interesting moment for these old MTV shows coming back. I'm concerned about Beavis and Butthead and what the hell that is doing on Comedy Central.
I know they're both owned by the same company, but
right, we like that kind of explains the
the Daria spinoff.
Yeah, but Beavis and Butthead, that whole show kind of lived lived in a very specific moment in time back when MTV was not even regularly playing music videos, but more it was more part of their identity when that show was in its prime than it is now. So to bring back Beavis and Butthead on Comedy Central, they would have to radically reinvent the world around them, or like adjust their personality to kind of fit the world that we live in today. Like maybe instead of couch potatoes, they're like Reddit users, or I don't know.
That's the problem with some of these revivals. Like you said, Beavis and Butthead was a very, very important piece of early MTV, and it really revolved and lived and died on that channel. MTV is no longer really about music videos.
I should point out that this is their second revival. In, I believe, 2011, MTV tried to bring the series back to very mixed results. I think it only lasted one
season. I think I remember getting good reviews, but it only lasted one season because they didn't know what to do with it anymore.
So it's like, at least I can understand if they decided to like reboot King of the Hill or something, or some other Mike Judge projects. This one's going to take like a monumental task to just uproot and update in a way that makes sense and it's not cynical.
But that being said, as a fan of Mike Judge, I am willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, because I can't think of anything that he's done throughout his career that's been like awful.
There was that show, The Good Family, that didn't last long at all, and
okay, fair enough. The fact that didn't even cross my mind is proof that nobody's perfect.
No, I think Clone High has more of a chance now, because I think its premise holds up better. And
that
Lord and Miller, everyone loves them now. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you love us now, huh? And no, they can be petty if they want to about this, but it was like Clone High was not as tied down to its decade like Beavis and Butthead was, and now that more animated shows are becoming story driven or more just like less episodic, I think it has a better chance. Now, I don't know why it has to be on MTV. I don't know.
I assume it's probably going to end up on Comedy Central like the other MTV reboots are.
I guess it's just like the audience for Clone High and Beavis and Butthead are not going to be on TV. They're going to be on like Netflix or Hulu or something. I don't get it. I get it, but I don't. I mean this like rhetorically. Like, I get it, but I don't get it. That makes sense.
I feel the exact same way. Like, I get it from like a very corporate perspective, but I also think like you're kind of missing your target demographic by not having this like directly on a streaming service like a Netflix or a Hulu, because that would be like the perfect place to put it.
Yeah, it just makes me worried that they're not going to do well and they're just both going to burn out again, which would be bad. And then I don't know. It just seems like MTV is mostly known for its reality shows now. It tried to have a few like like Jersey Shore or whatever they could pull from the sludge of the primordial ooze reality shows that they can have. But it's like if they made a reboot of The Big Guy and Rusty, but it was only going to come back through VH1. It's like, what the heck are you doing on that channel? But I'm curious to see what they do. I'm a little more excited for Clone High. I thought that show was pretty funny, like from the few episodes I saw. I don't know if a lot of it ages well. I'd have to rewatch it again.
Yeah, I'm excited to revisit that for a future episode later down the road.
Any final thoughts before we head into Annecy, Reuben?
Nope.
All right.
Alrighty.
And without further ado, it's time for the main event.
Woo!
So where do you guys want to begin?
How about we start with overall thoughts? Let's just say like the overall thing, and then let's go into like details afterwards.
All right.
But that's just me.
Well, overall, I think as for this being kind of my first, albeit digital, but first nonetheless experience with a film festival. I think having it digital is great in terms of accessibility, and for the entrance fee of like $16 in US currency, that's the perfect price for everything that they had to offer. And even though I was admittedly not able to see everything, I still feel like I got my money's worth.
Yeah, I think in general, this was my first time diving into Annecy. Mostly I would do a preview guide, like a TV guide thing, where it's like, here's what I think looks interesting. And being able to actually partake in it, flaws and all, you get so much out of $16. You get to see a lot of movies. All the shorts are free, and we'll get to talking about the cons of it all. You get to see behind the scenes stuff. You get to see about films that are being made right now. Previews for upcoming things like the first episode of Close Enough. There is a work in progress of Over the Moon, Glenn Keane's first directorial film. You got a lot for $16. They could have easily made this more expensive, but they didn't. They made sure that anyone could jump into it. And I wish it wasn't going off of France time. I wish it was US time. I just because I wanted to watch a few more things. But in general, I got so much worth out of it than like I think most film going experiences that I get to enjoy. Reuben?
Yeah. Like I was planning on going to the festival for real as a vacation, but then 2020 happened and that didn't work out. So this is probably the best they could have possibly done under these circumstances. And I'm glad the positive side is that it was accessible to everyone who was up for it. And looking at the official stats, it looks like they ended up with 15,570 people participating. So
that's nuts. I love that.
Wow. That's a great turnout.
That's including 4,130 MIFA accreditations, which would mean industry people, 335 journalists, that includes me, and people from 111 countries.
That includes me.
Yep.
So I guess I think the biggest pro was that this was available to the public, because a lot of these festivals tend to be very you got to be a journalist, you're a big celebrity, you're someone who works in the industry, You go, you see what's getting made, you get to see some movies, make some deals, win some awards, or in some cases get laughed at because your movie's awful. But like as an animation fan, I love this kind of stuff. I dedicate a lot of my writing to the foreign side of animation because I just find that area so fascinating. And I just love that so anyone could jump in. It's $16. What are you going to lose? And it's just like it's a good amount of stuff to see. Like I think anyone who was in animation should have gone to this. And I think that's its biggest pro.
Yeah, I agree with that. As someone who's admittedly not as well versed in foreign animation, this was kind of important for me to, at the very least, get a taste of what's out there outside of Western animation. And while I didn't get to see, there's a number of films that I unfortunately was not able to see, either because of time or because only an extract was available for the public. I still really I had a great time with all the stuff that I did check out. So with that said, why don't we talk about some of the work in progress features that they had?
Well, I think for me that was one of my favorite sections because who doesn't want to see a sneak preview of a film? And that, like I said, there was the Over the Moon extract. I mean, not extract, the work in progress, and that had Glenn Keane, the director, and most people would know him for his Disney work and the short Dear Basketball. You got to see a sneak peek of stuff like Wolfwalkers.
Yeah, Wolfwalkers was the best preview in my opinion. That thing, like, I was already crying just from the clip they showed.
The clip was so good, and like I especially like the music video that they had at the very end.
Yeah, no, that was so good. I think one of the films that shot up to my most anticipated was The Summit of the Gods, just because it had like a very it had like an all-star cast of like who I know from like the animation world, and granted the clips were very minor, but still a mountain climbing animation film. You don't get to see that often. And there was just a good amount of stuff there. And I'm trying to go through like everything from the work in progress section, but I think
the animated series is looking good, and I also got to attend the Q&A about Cuphead, which I wrote up for CBR.
Oh yeah, Cuphead looks great.
Yeah, that Cuphead and Animal Crackers were the first two work in progress videos that I watched, because those are the two things that I was kind of the most curious about.
Mm-hmm.
And Animal Crackers, because as we mentioned the last time we talked about it, Cameron and I have been hyping up this movie since 2016.
Yeah, we were really looking forward to it, and of course we talked about the whole distribution shenanigans. And another one I really liked was the Inuo, the Masaki Yuasa's new project, new film.
Yeah, that looks great. I mean, if that's going to be his last film for a while, it looks like he's going out on a high note.
The animation looked great, even though it was, again, a lot of talking, but still, I mean, it's a work in progress. What do you expect?
Yeah.
And it's just so cool to see all these people talk about their films. I also loved it, and even though it was a preview, I consider it a work in progress. I loved the clip from Connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another one that just made me smile.
Yeah, no, I love the clip. I still think about the donkey ride sequence and how it just turned from like, oh, what's the worst that can happen to like the worst thing possible. And then it's like, what about Prancer? And you see this donkey going down a flooded river. And it's just like, forget Prancer. He belongs to the canyon now. And of course, getting to know how to draw the best pug in the world is a positive for me.
Yeah, it's also interesting in like how many unusual musicals were shown in the work in progress. Because you have like Inu-Oh, which is going to have a lot of music in it. There's The Island, which is based on a concept album, and My Love Affair with Marriage, which is also a musical.
Those are great looking. I can't wait for The Island.
Yeah, that looks so cool.
And since it's by the director of Barona's Fantastic Tale, I am so down for just whatever she makes.
When Cameron told me that was from the same director, I'm like, oh, I better watch this like right now. And then I did, and then I started to cry because the animation was just beautiful.
Yeah, and granted, some of the stuff was kind of lacking. Like, I wish I could have seen more of Lynn in the Song of Wales, but a lot of it
that was like very clearly in the early process, and also same with Sirocco and the Kingdom of the Winds.
Oh, I was so mad when I heard the release date for that. Well, not super mad, but I was just like, oh, you're gonna make me wait 2 years for this?
Oh man.
Yeah. And I do need to make a correction. The Annecy preview, when we talked about New Gods, Neza Reborn, I made a goof in saying that it's a sequel to 2019's Neza, and that is absolutely not true, and that came to be when I was watching it all, and I was like, oh, I know that director. Oh, I know that studio. Oh no, this is not a follow-up to Neza. This is a follow-up to the last film the studio made, White Snake, which was one of the big 2019 Chinese animated films alongside Neza. But even then, it looked great. I loved its diesel punk martial arts mix.
Yeah, I describe it as, it looks like a mix of Fast and Furious and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is not something I thought I needed, but I do need it now.
Yeah, it's a weird combination, but I dug that clip.
Yeah, and I really liked the intimacy of My Love Affair of Marriage and the No Dogs or Italians Allowed. Like, because at first you see No Dogs or Italians Allowed, you kind of look at the title and it's like, what kind of historical aspect of this am I missing? And there's a lot to that, and it was just kind of cool to see the progress of what they were making and such. So I want to say, I guess just to get a negative out of the way, can we talk about the extract situation?
Yeah, let's talk about this. There's one in particular that you had a big problem with. It was for, I believe,
Beauty Water.
Yeah, Beauty Water.
So for context, not all the films for Annecy Online were fully watchables due to probably legal and distribution shenanigans. A good chunk of them, of the feature films and competitions, were not, again, fully viewable. You could only watch either like 10 minutes, or for like ones like Calamity or Little Vampire, were like behind the scenes videos. And it just happened to be like all the films that anyone was ever interested in were the extracts.
Those are the ones which actually have a chance at being released internationally, so...
Yeah, it's like, I get that, but it's also like, why open it up to the public at all when the jury are the only ones who can watch the films in full, when it's just kind of like, oh, cool, I guess I like this one off of the 10 minutes I watched. But the worst offender of it was Beauty Water, a South Korean horror film in the Contrachamp section. It was a supercut of the entire movie. And I'm not kidding. It basically showed every important story beat, every twist, every turn. It was like a supercut of a film gone wrong. Like, you hear those passion projects of like, oh, I'm going to edit all 3 Hobbit films into one movie. And this one was just like, I'm going to show you every story beat. And it's like, okay, well, it was a legit creepy film. South Korea kind of has a thing, for scary films. But you just show me the whole plot. Even if I'm able to see it, why should I? That basically turned me off completely to it.
Yeah, that was the reason I specifically didn't watch that extract, because although the trailer when I watched it, like this movie I am still very interested in, but I didn't want to spoil myself with a mishandled extract.
Yeah, I avoided watching the extracts, except for I made an exception for Calamity simply because it won the grand prize for features at the festival, and I wanted to see what that was about. So,
And that movie looked great. That was a good first impression. But then it's like the next day after Annecy went up, Angaku R Sound got picked up by G Kids alongside with Inuo. And for some reason, my video version of it, of Angaku R Sound, would only play the French subtitles. And I could tell what was going on, but it was like a really bad first impression kind of thing. And I was a little disappointed in it because if you know me, I am super hyped for this movie. I watch that trailer at least once or twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, the Lupin the Third one was also kind of frustrating, even though the first 10 minutes were pretty good. Because they did the video said 13 minutes, but it was like 2 minutes of padding of like the evolution of Lupin the Third, and then a 1 minute video of the unfortunate, like probably one of the last things recorded of the creator of Lupin the Third, Monkey Punch.
Aw.
He was saying like, "Hey guys, this is the first Lupin the Third film in 3D. I hope you all enjoy it and enjoy the future adventures." And it was just like, oh god, I can't get mad at this. Like, because that was so touching, and it's really sad he's no longer around with us. But so it's like all the interesting films got extracted. And I know
not all the interesting ones. And there were a couple of features that were streaming that were interesting, but like let's phrase that as all the films which people knew about and actually have any chance of coming to America.
Yeah, that's fair.
That is fair. It's just a bummer. Even though the $16 was worth it, I would have been happy to pay more if that meant I could see the films in full. Because then it became like a Russian roulette of like, well, I hope this is good. And a lot of them were not, or it was more of a mixed bag. Like I know, Reuben, you and I really liked, and Michael, you saw this one too, The Nose, or the...
Yes.
Yeah. The two feature films I watched in their entirety that I really liked were The Nose and True North. Both of those, I'd say, are definitely worth checking out if you ever get the chance again.
I'm sad that I missed the chance to see True North, because watching a trailer that was mostly kind of like behind the scenes, it had me really invested in the story, because I know that the filmmakers were really passionate about the material, so I really wanted to see what it was exactly that they were so passionate about.
It's a really good movie. It's a really tough movie to sit through, but if you've seen films like Funan, it's basically that kind of film in tone. And The Nose almost...
Dubbing is kind of rough, but other than that, it's a great film.
Yeah, and The True Nose almost lost me and I think this is mostly a historical context kind of thing for me, because I was not fully aware of Russian history. There was even a scene where they're in, like, I guess a church, and the main character's talking to the titular nose, and the nose is like, "What you're saying is not making sense. Can you speak to me in a more satisfactory way?" And I was like, oh my god, the movie's talking to me. But then it's like you are left with mostly very niche and personal projects. Like Kill and Leave Town was mostly about the director and such, like his childhood in the 70s in Poland. And while there was definitely a mood that was very cool about it, it just didn't gel with me. And for 80 minutes, it felt much longer.
Yeah, that was one of the ones which I stopped after 30 minutes. It's because it was just like too rough, too depressing. It's like most of the films which were streaming, like they were either like kiddie films which wouldn't get art house interest, or they were stuff that was like that was like super serious and depressing. Some of the depressing films were good, like 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 True North was really good, and The Nose, like, it isn't even really depressing so much as just dark, but it's also funny and it's like interesting. But that one was definitely like on the very experimental side, but in a good way, whereas some of the other ones were experimental in a less good way.
No, like Accidental Luxuriance of the Translucent Water Rubus.
First of all, that title is just a lot.
And I did my best. I accidentally fell asleep through part of it, and then I rewound and fast forward to see if there was like any focus of the plot on that, because I had to look up the plot to Accidental Luxuriance.
Yeah. It's also like that was also like barely even animation. Like, it looked more like it was just like filters on top of film as opposed to even real rotoscoping.
Yeah. No, and that was just like, why is this film here? 76 films were submitted to the competition section. What did not make it? If this made it, and then there was stuff like Lava.
Oh my God,
Lava was awful. I mean,
couldn't finish it.
I fell asleep. I fell asleep a few times watching it. I did finish it, but it was that was one of the hardest things I had to watch for such a short runtime, because here's my problem. On paper, it sounds like a movie that I would love, or at least it sounds like an Adult Swim TV series that I would get mild enjoyment out of. But it's a movie with characters that are very unlikable, and like just the way it's structured is just not, how should I put this?
Badly animated. It hid also racial stereotypes in there, which was like the point where I'm like, okay, I'm not even going to sit through the full hour of this.
That movie's animation was a huge issue why it was just not working. It looked cheap. It looked like early Flash animation from Newgrounds. And even early Flash animation looked better than that. And I don't know what the budget was, or like maybe I should have heard the filmmaker's words about why she went with some of these decisions. I think there was one joke that I liked, and it was when they jumped off a building, their bodies splatted on the ground like they died, but then it cuts to them running away, and one of the guys goes, "Hooray for animation!" And it's like that was the one joke that worked, and everything else, no. And I wouldn't be so mad about the extracts if films like Lava and Accidental Luxuriance, or whatever it's called, I'm not even committed to like caring about if I say that film's name correctly or not, were not the ones that were fully viewable. And then like Jungle Beat the movie, which is harmless. It's not for me, it's for little kids. I'm not going to rake it over the coals like these other two films, but it was going to be released like worldwide digitally anyway. So
yeah, like didn't that come out on the 26th?
Yes, it did. And it's like that came off more like a cynical marketing ploy than like a film that was actually worthy of competing. Because then it's like there were films like Nahuel and the Magic Book, and
I'm so mad that I wasn't able to see that movie, because that's another one that when I saw the trailer for it, I'm like, yes, I need to see this. Because like the first thing that came to mind with the animation, like, wait, this isn't the same guys who did Hilda, is it? It's not, but they retooled the animation like a few years ago to closely resemble
like Hilda, Steven Universe, that kind of
situation. Like it definitely had a Steven Universe vibe to the artwork. Like I started watching that one and I was actually like kind of into it, but then at some point like the subtitles got out of sync with the talking and it got distracting.
Yeah, that's another thing that we'll probably talk about in a little bit. There's the technical aspects, and then that the website could have been organized better. And one of
the other
film
film which I watched all the way through and thought was pretty interesting was The Shaman Sorceress. Like it doesn't totally work, but it's interesting. Like it's interesting to see a musical that's also like about religious intolerance. Like yeah, like it almost like if the animation were better, you could almost compare it to like a Prince of Egypt type vibe, but the animation unfortunately was not better.
Yeah, that was my big issue with it. I love that it was like this operatic musical, but the animation undersold it. And it's like, there's a reason why Disney and like films like The Prince of Egypt are so good at what they do when they do musicals.
What exactly was wrong with the animation? Was it like
it undersold the music?
Yeah, like it was just like it was limited animation, like sort of anime-esque, but on the more limited side of anime animation. Which, if you know anime, you know that can be pretty limited.
It is, and the designs weren't all that appealing to look at. They kind of reminded me of Code Lyoko because everyone had like giant heads, and
I didn't mind the design work. I just wish it was better animated.
I wish it was better paced. Also, I was a little disappointed.
Yeah. Like the first act is too slow. It gets interesting in the middle, and then like towards the end, like it's still interesting, but it also like has long stretches where it kind of forgets it's a musical, which is sort of an issue.
Yeah. And then there was like a film like Mosley, which was had its premiere but there was a screening for it at Annecy, and unfortunately I was not able to catch it, so I had to go through it and watch it through other means. And I liked that movie. I was pleasantly surprised. It felt like a gem from the 80s that just kind of got pulled out and put into like 2020. And it's not perfect. There's a few tone and pacing issues, but it was really good. And I was like, why isn't this film in the competition section? I think more people would have liked Mosley than Lava and Accidental Luxuriance.
Yeah, if I did replace Mosley with any film, like the first to go would have been Lava.
I didn't even notice that. I saw it listed there, but like it was like listed like next to like the best of 2019 and like some other feature that premiered last year. So I assumed it was just like a film from last year that they got the rights to stream again this year.
Now so it hasn't had like a wide release yet. It's mostly been like New Zealand and such. And it's interesting because, they had the making of Animal Crackers, and Tony Bancroft is an executive producer in Mosley. And I want to know what decisions were made of what films got chosen and such. But I will say a lot of it was made up because of Old Man the movie was just a delightful
God.
Reuben, on the previous podcast when we talked about the Annecy lineup, I brought this movie up and everyone was like, what on earth is this movie? And I know you didn't watch it, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think this movie has a great like idea of what its audience is because
I'll be honest, that's kind of what I love about it. I love how not only does it not know what its audience is, I don't think it cares. It's literally just doing whatever it wants.
It's too crass for kids, but it's too juvenile for adults. But it's so wildly out there, and there's a scene. So the whole movie is about an old man who milks a cow, and this cow's milk is super popular. But in this world, if you do not milk a cow, the udder will expand and expand, and if you do not milk it, it will set off an atomic bomb-like explosion. And the cow escapes, and the old man and his 3 grandchildren get roped into trying to get the cow back from this evil old man who used to be the greatest milker in that country, but then the cow exploded. And there's a scene where he is and got these like 3 woodsmen, like wood workers, to help him get the cow to kill it. And one of the guys goes into like, I had 8 kids, not a good relationship with my wife. She left and took them and lost 3 fingers. It's all work, just and there's like this awkward silence, and then the old man is like, Okay, back to the subject at hand. and just how they did stuff like they got out of a situation by ripping off a hippie's beard and used it as like a smoke bomb. And I don't care if this thing gets a digital only release. I would watch this movie again. It's so out there that, and I don't even think it's that good of a movie. I would.
Yeah, no, I kind of love it just for the sheer WTF nature of it. Like, I don't know if I even want to spoil the movie. I just want to talk about like there's one point where like one of the kids gets like stuck in the bowels of I believe it was a bear.
Yeah, it was a bear.
And so the way he escapes is with the help of some Russian rock star, and they sing like they perform this musical number that's so awesome that it rips open a hole, and that's how they get out. This is the kind of nuts. This is the crazy that we're dealing with.
It's like like that. This one movie almost made up for the fact that Lava was so awful. But I think overall, I still found a few feature films that were worth the whole thing. I still wish we could have seen them all. I would still be happy to pay more, like $40 or whatever, if it meant it would cover the costs to stream those online.
Like if they do this again next year, perhaps like in addition to the the live event, like I would happily pay $30 to watch everything in full. Now, as far as the stuff I didn't get to see, I only got to see one of the shorts, and that was DreamWorks Animation's entry to Gerald or to Gerard, and that is probably one of the best things that DreamWorks has ever done as far as short films go, because in just 7 minutes they told a beautiful story across like 3 different generations. Cameron and Reuben, I assume you guys saw this one too?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it was so good, and it was really wholesome. And I guess this is my fault, but also probably a lot of DreamWorks' fault too. DreamWorks feels kind of alien when it does sentimental, even though it has films like the How to Train Your Dragon films, Shrek 2, Prince of Egypt, and whatnot, because a lot of the times I think of their snide, snarky smarminess and just like kind of edgy. I mean, like, not like, it's like, to me, To Gerard is something like I wish DreamWorks did more of, instead of just thinking what could be funny or what could be turned into a TV series. Because their way of thinking of how they make films is, I think, crippling them. And I would like to see more stuff like To Gerard.
Same.
Yeah.
Now, Reuben, I know you and I saw the Town, which was another, like, one of the big winners at the festival. And
yeah, that one won the award for best first film, which I didn't even realize it was a first film. Like, it seemed like such a professional production that kind of surprising that it's a first film. It's an interesting dystopian sci-fi world where basically like people are given mask-based makeovers that make them docile and conforming.
Yeah, it's a very Black Mirror, Twilight Zone kind of plot. And for 2D animation, I thought it was pretty good looking.
I can almost say like a Satoshi Kon vibe almost in the design work.
Yeah, the designs were very realistic in that Satoshi Kon kind of grounded way. And those mask things and the procedure that goes with it is super creepy. Oh, I can't imagine living in that kind of society where it's like all of your future bets are dependent on if you get this mask or this makeover. And unfortunately, To Gerard and The Town were the only shorts I got to see. Reuben, what about you? You said you've seen more of the shorts than either me and Mike.
Yeah, I saw like basically the entire official selection. Skipped over like a couple that weren't grabbing me, but overall, I watched all the official selection, and I watched like I watched like around like half of the ones in the perspectives category, which was like which was like their specifically diversity minded selection. I didn't watch any of the experimental shorts. I didn't watch the WTF super edgy ones, but the shorts were like a really impressive thing. In my opinion, they were like the main reason to even attend the festival.
Which one would you say is your favorite of the shorts that you watched?
Yeah, favorite of the shorts is easily The Physics of Sorrow. Oh, that one it's directed by Theodore Ushev, produced by the National Film Board of Canada, based on a novel by Georgy Gospodinov, and it's incredible. Like it's a hand-painted animated film, 27 minutes. It's like basically it's like a guy who who grew up in the Soviet Union and immigrated to Canada and became a filmmaker, and it's wild. Like he's like remembering past lives, and there's like a big epic romance. There's the end of the worlds in it. It's a great film.
Man, that sounds so cool.
I'm seeing
I regret not seeing more of the shorts because these all kind of sound fascinating.
The problem I find with shorts is that they tend to kind of stay in limbo after their festival viewings, or it's like they get stuck behind a paywall because the artists and the teams want to make a little income, and they kind of get lost in the discourse. And I was bummed out that I didn't get to see more of the shorts.
Yeah, sometimes they end up on YouTube, like one which was actually on YouTube already, but I learned about because it was in the festival, is a short called Rebooted, which sort of imagine Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but with special effects characters. It's about like a stop-motion skeleton from like an old Harryhausen-esque sword and sorcery epic, and his feelings about the movie that made him famous getting a remake.
Yeah, that one, I saw that one before the festival started, and it's really good. It's got a whole lot of charm to it, and you see stuff like a monster suit, and it's very interesting. It's like a very charming take on like the state of special effects and such. So I hope that a lot of these shorts get either put on YouTube or they're made available to watch, because a lot of the times shorts are a little more creative and interesting than like the major features that get released, just because you're not stuck under like limitations of having a big budget and whatnot, and studio shenanigans and such.
Yeah, like I assume most of the short films are from like independent filmmakers who are under a tighter budget, so they kind of have to be more creative. Plus with shorts, there's you can go as short as like 6 minutes, or you can take up to like 40. However long it takes for you to get your story out there. That's one of the advantages of short form storytelling, especially in animation.
Yeah, I hope more people get to see them. Now, did y'all watch the preview for Close Enough, the new HBO Max series?
I did.
Yeah.
What do y'all think about it?
Yeah, I liked what I saw. My one gripe is just the way it was edited, because it felt like it wasn't a complete episode, but more like here's like here's like the most
Absurd.
Like, yeah, like here's like the best kind of segments from this one episode.
Like I assume that it's not the first episode since there's like zero introduction whatsoever.
Yeah, you're just kind of like dropped into a scenario.
And it's funny, but but it was also like I do remember that the show was like originally pitched as a half-hour show, and it got cut down to a quarter hour when they decided that worked better for them. But it did almost feel like it was a half-hour episode cut down to a quarter hour, and I'm curious where it fits into the series as a whole.
Yeah, I hope it's longer because the 15 minutes feels a little too busy because you had 3 different plots going on, and they kind of just ramshackled together to like be cohesive. And even though I've been looking forward to this, I love Jason Mantzoukas and he's in this show, and the recent trailer release for it makes it look better.
Yeah.
But I did like it. I thought it was super funny. And it's probably maybe the best adult animated show to come out this year, maybe. I mean, we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll see. But
not counting anime, because otherwise I'd be saying, oh yeah, Beastars and Dorohedoro are the best ones.
Oh my God, Dorohedoro is. I still can't get over how just completely insane that show is. Yet, if anyone is looking for like a new anime to watch, I'll point them in that direction.
Yeah, and it was funny. I'm still getting into the groove and the rhythm of tagging on Twitter, like when I watch something, because it's like, I doubt the creators are going to see this.
No, like it turns out like pretty much every time Cameron does this, like they will immediately respond.
Yeah, like last year when I talked about Angry Birds 2, the producer of the film said like, hey man, thanks for liking the movie. I'm like, and I was like, he knows me. And then when I did this for Close Enough, the producer and writer of Close Enough, or one of them, liked my tweet. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And
Tom Moore liked my tweet about Wolfwalkers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, Tom Moore did the same for me when I told him that it's like, man, I'm on the hype train. And it's like, it just shows that they're paying attention. And then like, funny enough, the director of Mosley followed me on Twitter before I could even watch his movie. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to watch your movie now. Thank you for following me. But yeah, I wish I could have seen a few more of the previews of certain things. Like I wasn't going to see the one for like that Amazon series that a lot of people seem to like with Aubrey Plaza and such. I think it's like Unbound or something, or
it's not Aubrey Plaza. It's Rosa Salazar.
Oh, duh. I'm sorry. That's my mistake.
And it is Undone, and you should watch it because it's great. It's like whenever anyone talks about her, like why isn't there any more mature adult animation in America that's not comedies? I'm like, watch Undone. It's great. It's exactly what you're asking for.
Was that preview for season 2? Because that's the only reason I didn't watch it.
No, it was just it was just the first episode of the show, probably because I don't know why. Maybe it's not in every country in Amazon, or maybe they just wanted to put it in for awards, and they won an award. So
all right,
makes sense.
Well, I am going to put that show on my list because
Same.
I've had a lot of people recommend that to me, saying like, dude, you got to watch this. It's so good. So
maybe we'll talk about it in a podcast in the future.
Definitely.
Now, Mike, you said you saw the Animal Crackers making of. What was your walk me through that? I'm curious about what was shown.
As far as footage, they didn't really show much. It was mostly just the directors kind of telling their story of how the film was made, how they got Emily Blunt and John Krasinski involved, and like they took us through they basically took us through the nightmare that was getting this film distributed. How they went through like three different companies before Netflix is like, come with us, we will save you.
Oh golly, that like did they go into like details, or was it just kind of like very like NDA, like passive, like we won't say who they are, but they suck and they can stay bankrupt and whatnot?
I don't remember, like, 'cause I saw this a few weeks ago, but my biggest takeaway from the preview was just kind of listening to what they had to say, and just feeling their excitement for them to finally show this passion project that they've poured like blood, sweat, and tears in. And I'm just happy that the release is like just a few weeks away.
Yeah, that'll be a fun movie to talk about. Did anyone partake in the master classes?
Unfortunately, no, but I watched a couple videos that were on the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
One of them that was really interesting was That's Not All, Folks, and it was kind of like it was like a breaking down the history of acting in animation, and how it's not something that's regularly taught in school as you might think. So that the presenter kind of like explained why acting and animation is, important to the medium.
Well, yeah, because you would think that'd be like, oh, that's obvious, but then it's like celebrities get picked up for these movies and whatnot, and then they're just kind of like, I'm going to play myself because there's nothing wrong with that, and it's like, except there's a lot wrong with that. And well, it's not like the worst thing ever, but it's also like you were chosen because you're a big name and whatnot, and all that stuff. We can talk about that later. Ruben, what about you?
Yeah, I watched the Henry Selick one. I watched the Musker and Clements one.
Like, what were like the topics? Like the Henry Selick one. Like,
well, that one was like him in conversation with like his composer. So it was a lot of talk about like writing scores. And that one was also introduced by Jordan Peele, so that was cool.
Ooh, that's nice.
Well, I mean, like, Key and Peele are going to be in his new movie, yes. So that's fitting.
Yeah. He talked about how like his new movie, it's basically like it's the film that he's wanted to make that there's been skeptical about there being a market for. Like, and he mentioned talking about his trouble making The Shadow King and how it was too scary for Disney and that got it killed.
Oh God, that movie looked good.
yeah, and he was talking in front of a collection of a bunch of his puppets, including several of the puppets from that movie.
Oh, that just makes it sadder.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sadder that it never got made.
Also, like, this is a stupid observation, but Henry Selick, like, really looks like a Henry Selick character. Like, he's like the sharpest jawbones. He looks like he could be like one of the characters in one of his movies.
Interesting.
That is interesting. What did the Musker and Clements one focus on?
Yeah, that was more like a general overview of their career, answering various questions. And like it seems like they're like they mentioned that they're working on things but didn't go into any detail about any projects.
That's interesting. I mean, like, I like those two, and I'm like, I know there are definitely a lot of like spill the tea kind of stories that they could probably talk about from like the dark age of Disney.
Yeah, because they've been around for a while.
I remember they talked a bit about like when Don Bluth led an exodus of animators out of Disney back in the early 80s. And
oh yeah, that must have been like right around the time, I think, The Rescuers, because I know Don Bluth worked on that one. So.
I believe it was The Fox and the Hound. That was like the movie which like broke everyone. Like that was the movie that broke Tim Burton. Like, yeah.
Oh God, that's very interesting.
Yeah. It's like I go through 4 years of Cal Arts, and like I'm not even working on a good Disney movie. I'm working on Fox and the Hound.
Oh God.
Jeez, no wonder he left.
Yeah, no, hey, I'd be mad too, especially.
Yeah, I mean, before he left, after he was able to produce his shorts for Frankenweenie and Vincent at Disney, which was what got him the Pee-wee job, and the rest is history.
That's very cool. Now, did anyone, Reuben, were you able to, like, since you were a journalist, did you partake in any of the MIFA stuff, like the pitches or?
Yeah, like I didn't pitch anything myself. Obviously, I don't have any projects that are ready in that state of what they would want. But yeah, like I watched some of the pitches. Like I watched like an anime pitch rally, which I like wrote an article about that's up on Anime News Network. And yeah, and like other than that, like like there wasn't that much that I did on the MIFA side of things.
Like, well, like I saw your article, which was quite good.
Thank you.
What was the, like, I guess, like, any, like, takeaways, like, oh, that sounds interesting? Like, or, like, did they show any, like, footage, or was it mostly, like, concept art? And,
yeah. Like, they showed the footage of stuff. Like, it was the one that looked the coolest of those pitches was the Cat Ninja one, which, like, unfortunately, he like we weren't allowed to post any screen caps or anything, so you'll have to wait before you get to see that. But that one looks cool.
Well, that's very cool. I didn't pay for anyone in the know of this. They had two different how to describe this ranks of how you could partake in the festival. You had the $16 one, or you paid a $90 one and partake in the business and marketplace side of things.
Yeah. Basically, in order to do that, you had to either be press or part of the industry. Like you would have to have some evidence of work that was relevant.
Okay, well that's why I was just like, I'm not going to partake in that. I don't know if I even could be able to, because I'm not working on anything. I'm just a guy who likes to.
Yeah, besides, like that was like the thing I spent the least time on. Like if you don't have a thing to pitch and you're not doing networking stuff, it's like not really worth it.
Yeah, really, I think we kind of went over everything. Do we have any like negative downsides or anything like to how the festival was handled outside of the extracts and some of the bad films that were chosen?
I think the website could have been a little bit better organized. Like, for example, when I was looking for the Close Enough preview, I couldn't find it just looking on the face of the website. I had to search Close Enough Annecy in order for it to tell me, oh, it's in TV films number 3.
Yeah, and I wish they had labeled as it better, because like I actually like almost understood how how they were laying stuff out in the TV films, because it was clear that TV films 1 was like preschool friendly stuff, TV films 2 was kids and family, TV films 3 was young adult stuff like Close Enough, and TV films 4 was the adults only stuff like Undone and Love, Death, Robots.
Yeah, no, it was a cluster of trying to find some of the shorts, like for the town and to Gerard.
Yeah. Well, for the shorts, I just watched the shorts programs in order, which was a fine way to experience them.
Of course, no, it's just I wish I could. And that was really my only other downside was I wish it wasn't going on France time, because I was like, man, the town was really good. I can't wait to watch these other shorts. Oh no, you're done. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem when we're beholden to their time zone.
I mean, I get it. I understand. It's just like I'm wondering if they know how many people, like from the U.S., partook in this like event and such, because again, this was all so cool. And really, I don't have a whole lot of negatives to talk about outside of the films and such. I mean, there were a few technical issues. Like I said, Angaku Our Sound only had the French subtitles for some reason. I couldn't watch that one film, The Knight and the Princess, because there were no English subtitles. I couldn't make...
I avoided that one on purpose because you told me that.
Like, I refreshed the website. I tried to do my best to try to watch it, and I wasn't really gelling with it anyway. But since I couldn't understand everything, I was just kind of like, okay, I'll skip this and just go to True North. And I made the better decision there, but still. Otherwise, that was all I really had an issue with. Like you, Mike, anything?
I pretty much said my piece in terms of negatives. Overall, I'm just still happy that that I spent the $16 to, you know, experience the other side of animation.
Reuben, any like minor nitpicks and whatnot?
No, I think you covered everything. I mean, like, the only other thing I can talk about would be, like, if you want to know more about any of the short films.
Yeah. Okay, then I think we're all kind of wrapped up. I think overall this was a great idea. I hope more festivals do this. I would love it if Animation is Film can do this, because there's no way in heck I'm going on a plane right now.
When is Animation is Film usually?
It's usually in October, and otherwise that's all I know, because they're very like, I love that festival, but golly, they are kind of tedious to get information on, because it's like they're still trying to come up with information of like when they're going to release it and what films they can pick up. And it's very like last half of September you'll probably find out before October. So
if this thing does go digital, and we find out about it, that could be a potential future episode. But that's we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, no, I think the Annecy Online thing was a great idea. I hope they do this again next year, because I can't really afford to go to France, even if I made it a group project with like a few other writers and whatnot. It's just like.
But I also hope that the in-person festival is safe to happen next year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely.
We don't want the digital festival to replace being there in person.
Of course.
It's just we like in a perfect world, we want this to be accessible to everyone.
Yeah, make this get as wide of a net of people as possible, because that's kind of the thing that I like going to Animation as Film for. I get to see these cool animated films before a lot of people do, and there's nothing quite like it, but it's also kind of like, man, I hope more people get to see this stuff, because it's so cool. And if you're into animation, like either working in the business side of it or just are a fan of it, it's a good idea to just peruse and check out everything. Alrighty, I guess we should go into recommendations, or if we've had any recommendations.
Yeah, and anything outside of Annecy that you recommend, now's your chance.
Reuben, you go first.
BNA, watch it on Netflix. It's good.
Yeah, the new Studio Trigger anime that I haven't read your episode synopsis of it yet, because I need to still watch it, but it's Studio Trigger.
Spoilers.
Would you say, like, in general, would you say it's like their best TV series, or do you think like Gridman or Kill la Kill or the Witch Academia show are better? Or like,
I'd say it's like pretty much like, I'd say it's like pretty much on the level of Little Witch Academia. I do think that it does have some things which would have been better developed had they had more episodes, but even with the slightly rushed nature of it, it's still like it's both really cute and exciting and thought-provoking.
I think that's very cool because I feel like Studio Trigger gets kind of a bum rap for being a very stylish studio, like style over substance kind of studio. And I just don't think that's very fair, especially when there's stuff like Promare, which is a lot more deep. It's a lot more complex than you would think it is. And I can't wait to watch it this week because really anything is better than Crossing Swords.
We'll get to that next week. I don't think I got to talk about the season, like the season finale of Harley Quinn yet.
Go ahead.
So Harley Quinn wrapped its second season last weekend, and man, this show is I didn't think that a Harley Quinn animated series voiced by a Big Bang Theory alumnus would be as funny and as emotional as this turned out to be. But yeah, as it turns out, this is one of DC's like finest achievements in a really long time. It has probably my new favorite version of Poison Ivy. The supporting cast is all wonderful. There are some genuine twists and turns that I as a hardcore DC fan did not see coming, and I hope that more people get to check this out when the show eventually makes it to HBO Max.
Is it still not all on there, or is it kind of like or is there just some kind of deal that they have to go under?
Well, okay, so right now it's on. All 2 seasons are on DC Universe. The first season is being syndicated on Sci-Fi, and on the HBO Max website it says coming soon. There's no release date or anything, but they will be putting Harley Quinn on HBO Max.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, I've enjoyed that series so much. It's so funny and so very touching. And you don't expect that from like a very madcap, violent comedy, but the writers know what they're doing. I think the whole team knows what they're doing.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, like I said, I guess a spoiler. I've been watching Crossing Swords. Not impressed. We'll talk about that next week. I guess like I'm going to recommend a few films that were in previous Annecy festivals. I think one of the most outstanding films from previous years was Loving Vincent, which was the, I guess, first hand-painted animated film.
First
which is all,
yes.
Yeah, which was all done in Vincent van Gogh's art style, and it tells a story about like after Vincent shot himself, and a character from one of his paintings gets like the whole story is wrapped around multiple characters from all different paintings from his life, and he tries to find out why Vincent shot himself. And I liked the story. I know a lot of people kind of put it into the tech demo, kind of like this is what we can do with 2D hand-painted animation and whatever, however you want to describe it. But I like the story. I think it matched the animation. And
I'll be honest. I kind of respected the craft more than I really got into it. But now that I know it's on Hulu, I will gladly give it another shot.
And there are some actors in there that I forgot were in there, like Saoirse Ronan,
Chris O'Dowd.
Yeah, Chris O'Dowd. And another film I'll recommend is a winner from last year's festival, which technically showed up in the 2018 festival, but not in the competition side. It was in the out of competition section, which I don't know what kind of rule, like how that makes sense, because they've had like the breadwinner from 2017 and 2018's Annecy, even though it, won the Annie, was Oscar nominated already. I don't.
Interesting.
But the film I'm going to recommend is Bunwell in the Labyrinth of the Turtles. And this, if you've seen my worst to best animated films of 2019, Bunwell was my second favorite film from last year in the animation scene, which is about Louise Bunwell, the surrealist filmmaker, and his last effort to keep making films by making a documentary. And this documentary exists. It actually splices footage from that documentary into the film itself. And some parts are a little more graphic than I remembered, like when I first saw it at Animation is Film. And Bunwell can be a slightly frustrating character, even if that's the point. I just love the story of it and just the animation and the characters. And there are some points where it was wildly funny. And G-Kids brought it over. I don't know if it's available on any streaming platforms.
You can purchase it for $3 on Amazon Prime and Google Play.
Okay, then do that. Rented. I highly recommend it.
All right. Now, before we go, where can everyone find you? Reuben, I'll start with you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Andalusiandoge, spelled ANDPALUSIANDOGE. And I also am a writer and editor for Comic Book Resources. Well, actually, we call it CBR now. We're no longer Comic Book Resources. It's like the KFC thing. Sorry about calling it. It's CBR, so cbr.com, and you'll find my articles there.
And Cameron?
You can find me on Twitter at Cam's Eye View. I run my own website called camseyeview.biz where I talk about animation, and I have a Patreon at patreon.com/Cam's Eye View. And you can find me in the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CaptainK42. Check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And look for me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Renegade Pop Culture, Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. And of course, don't forget to listen to our previous episodes on Spotify and Anchor. And last but not least, check out all of our content on renegadepopculture.com. Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Tooned Up. We will catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.